Okay, we're in chapter 18. We're not doing all of chapter 18. We're omitting section 5, which is about power. We just don't have time to do that. We are talking about cautions and inference about a population mean, which we be paying attention to as we do inference using the Z statistic, which is what we've been doing. We need to check the simple conditions for inference. The first one is we need a simple random sample or some similar sampling situation, like data from a randomized comparative experiment. We need to make sure that the data we collected represents the population. Beware of convenience sampling or voluntary response surveys because they cause bias in the data that you collect, and they're not anything like simple random sampling. The second thing is that the x bar must have a normal distribution. We've based everything on the bell curve. This will happen even if the population is not normal by the central limit theorem, if n is large. So with large n, we don't have to worry about the population being normal, so x bar becomes normal. For small n, the population has to be normal. For large n, x bar is approximately normal anyway. But we have to be careful in the middle ground, where you have medium-sized samples. Beware of outliers or a skewed distribution unless n is large. So basically you would look at a stem plot or something like that of your data to see if it appears to have come from something like a normal distribution if the sample size isn't big. How big is big? Bigger than 40 is considered big ordinarily. Number 3. We need to know the population standard deviation. That's kind of a problem. If the sample size is large and there are a few outliers, then we can use the sample standard deviation in place of the actual standard deviation with some success. In the future, we'll find another way to get away from the fact that we probably won't know the population standard deviation. And we'll try to use the sample standard deviation even for small samples, but we have to change our statistic from Z to something else. We'll see that later. So those are the simple conditions for inference. So before you move forward on making a confidence interval or doing a test, you want to check for simple random sampling. You want to check the data came from a normal population or else the n is large. And then you want to have a way to know the population standard deviation. You might have had experience with that population type before and know approximately what the standard deviation is. Or if n is large, the sample standard deviation can stand in place of sigma in the formulas. Okay, we're just doing part of the chapter and it's all about just worrying about a few things, so we should be done with this in no time.